he was around prior to me getting into the business. So when I kind of got into the real estate business, people would confuse us a little bit because he was already somewhat established. So people thought I was him. And then eventually he moved here and it just got really confusing. He's pretty low profile. He lives down in small town rural southern Utah nowadays, so he moved his license. But let's do some intros. I'd love to hear from you guys a little bit. Tell me your name, tell me where you're from, how long you've been in real estate, and why you got into the business. Let's maybe start here in the back.
Chris Brotherson. I've been doing this for 2 weeks and I live in Provo.
Okay. Chris, nice to meet you. Where are you from? Draper? Okay. What brought you to Provo?
It's where I could afford a house
Uh-huh.
2 years ago, and so I just like 30 minutes away.
So you bought a house a few years ago?
Yeah,
That's good timing.
yeah, right before COVID.
Yeah.
Like the day before COVID.
Wow.
I thought I was in trouble, but it turned out okay.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Chris, welcome. Right here?
I'm Cami. I live in Provo also. I'm from California Bay Area originally. I moved here about 3 years ago for school.
Mhm.
And your other question was, why did I get into real estate?
Yeah.
I started, I just came from a startup company where I was doing like creative branding stuff, marketing things. And some of my goals are to eventually have a little real estate empire and be a landlord.
Mhm.
And for my own personal acquisitions and to help other people, I would like to learn as much as I want so that I can be effective.
That's great. Where did you go to school?
I
BYU. Chris, Cami, and Isaiah.
I'm in Orem, got my license like 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
I chose real estate because I would like to own rental properties. Seemed like the best avenue for me to build the capital to do that.
Cool. Where are you from? Oh, okay. Good. I'm from Orem as well, born and raised. Went to Orem High. I live in Spanish Fork. My family and we've been down there since 2010. So I like it down there. I've been at KW since 2009. So my first 2 years in the business, I was at another place here in town. Then they kind of closed the doors back in 2008, 9 when the market was tanking. And then I came over here. So been here since then. I run a small team, the Kennedy Group. There's 7 of us. We're officed out of the Mapleton office, KW Excellence. And a couple of us on my team live North County. So we do maintain an office here upstairs, where a couple of us are officed out of. So I'm up here maybe once, twice a week for a short period of time. But for the most part, I hang out down in Mapleton, just do strictly residential sales, no commercial, no development, nothing like that. Just run the team and focus on helping people sell houses and buy houses, do a tiny little bit of real estate investing. Everything that I have right now is tied up in the Mapleton building. Has anyone been down there by any chance? Okay, so a few of us, a few years back, we just, built a mixed use space in Mapleton. And so he's one of our partners, Peter, Becca. She taught this on Monday. That's so funny. I thought this was like the first class. Is this not the first?
like when you start classes wherever they're at.
Oh, okay.
So I started on like lecture 18.
Oh, got it. And Chris and Isaiah, how many of these have you guys been to? A handful. So you probably got started towards the tail end of the last session, I guess. Okay. Third one. Good. Cool. Well, glad you guys are here. I've taught this a couple times. I'm not 100% familiar with all the slides, but we will go through it and make the best of it. I believe it says to end at 11:15, so we got probably 90-ish minutes or so. So these are kind of the the four sections that we're gonna go through on these slides. Real estate expert, lead gen, lead follow-up. Oh, no, sorry. This is the whole entire overview of all 20 sessions. So we're here, spark your career. Today's agenda, a new way of thinking, KW culture, market center value, KW resources, your career vision, success systems, and then we'll recap some ahas. Anyone can do it, not everyone will you. That's a quote by Gary Keller. Everybody has an equal opportunity to be successful in this business. I swear, real estate is 80% mental. Just keep that in mind. If your mind is right and you can create what your future looks like in your mind, the thoughts in your mind, I'm a firm believer of this. The things we tell ourselves and the thoughts we have going through our mind ultimately are going to become our reality. Do you guys believe that? You really got to ask yourself, what am I willing to put on the line to be one of the people who make it? What am I willing to sacrifice? What am I willing to do? Who am I willing to call? You know, it's not, nobody's going to sleepwalk into success in this business. 6 personal perspectives. This is a concept that we talk a lot about here at KW. They're also found over here on this wall. Commit to self-mastery, and we'll get into each of these. Commit to the 80-20 principle, move from E to the P, which is entrepreneurial to purposeful. Make being learning-based the foundation of your action plan. Remove your limiting beliefs and be accountable. Has anybody had a chance yet to set goals? Isaiah, what are your goals? Written specific goals of what you want to do with your real estate business. And it's okay if you're not there yet. You know, you can skew anything you want with statistics and made up stuff, right? But there's a powerful stat out there. I'm not going to butcher it, but something along the lines of 97% of goals that are not written down, just they're never met. If you have a goal or you want to do something, you've got to come up with like a written business plan where your goals are written down and there's some emotion behind it. There's some intentionality behind it. Like, I want to sell 15 houses in 2025 or whatever your goal is. Maybe it's 5, maybe it's 40. You've got to have a place where your goals are written down, where you can check in on them, you can review them, you can see them, and it like actually means something to you, right? Otherwise, without written down goals, I feel like we're just kind of floating along on the breeze and like subject to the whims of the market, or did anybody call me today, or are my parents ever going to buy that house? You know, that type of thing. Set some goals and work backwards from that. All right, this is my goal. What steps do I need to do to hit those goals? Know your strengths and weaknesses. Everybody's different. Everybody has their own strengths. Everybody has their own weaknesses. Like, what am I good at? It's like Princess Bride, you know? He's like, man, what would I give for, what does he say? The man in black at the end when they're trying to like make this comeback. He's like, what would I give for a cloak? He's like, oh, I've got one. He's like, why didn't you list that among our assets in the first place? You know, like what are my assets? What am I working with? Am I a people person? Like, are people naturally attracted to like my positive energy that I give out? And like, people look to me as a resource and like as a friend and a confidant? Or can I outwork everyone else? Like I'm just simply going to be able to work harder and work smarter. Or I'm really tech savvy and I'm really influential on social media, you know? You've got to identify what works and how you your approach around that. Any thoughts about that? What comes to mind for you, Cami?
Identify your weaknesses. Like, I mean, I would assume, or like, what I would probably do is be like, okay, which coworkers or which other people at Keller Williams do I know that have strength in this area? And how can I talk to them, ask them questions, how can I lean on them for support in that area? But like, what are some ways that you have like identified the weaknesses that you have, and like, how do you navigate those in your career?
I think it's absolutely essential to have a mentor in this business, like somebody who specifically is like taking you under their wing and making sure you survive. That happened to me 17 years ago. Had that not happened to me, my entire family tree would be altered forever. If somebody in my office hadn't like taken me aside and said, hey, I see you working hard. You're not very good at this. Let me help you, type of thing. Without that, like one-on-one mentoring, it just wouldn't, and like learning from that guy, it just would have, the odds of survival for me would have gone down for sure. So yes, you do, and that's Cameron, right? He's your productivity coach. Maybe when you're out of productivity coaching, it's going to be somebody else, or maybe you already have a mentor or a team leader in the office that you know sponsored you into the company, and they're like they have a specific interest in making sure you succeed. So very, very critical. And all these people like up here, there's great agents who are not up here, but all these people are happy to like have a conversation with you and mentor you and, you know, tag along on a listing appointment or a buyer consultation or an open house or some showings or whatever. Like everybody here has somebody who sponsored them into the company, right? Are they here? They're probably here at KW, or it could have been another KW even. Like that's a natural, you know, person to go to for help. And there's just so many willing people who want to like give without, you know, unconditionally. There's something called the 80-20 principle. Is anybody familiar with this at all? What is it, Cami? Do you know how to explain that?
80% project is like, oh wait, 80% of the project is done with 20% effort. Is that correct?
80% of your results will come from 20% of your actions. I just said that backwards. So 20% of your actions will lead to 80% of your results. So in real estate, what do you think the 20% of our actions that lead to the results are? What does that sound like? Paperwork?
Just like talk.
Yeah, lead generation. That's your 20%. Is when you see people say 20%, it's lead gen. It's explained a little further over. 20% of your activities yield 80% of your results. 80% of the activities which you suck up your time and make you feel busy only yield 20% of the results. I'm going to bring this over here just in case we need to write something down. So when I was a brand new agent, here's a little example that's kind of related to this. And the numbers aren't exactly 80-20, but I think you'll get the point. So when I was your age in the business in the first couple of years, I spent 90% of my lead generation efforts were centered around prospecting expired listings and for sale by owners. You guys know what those are? expireds, FSBOs. 10% of my lead generation efforts was centered around lead generation with family, friends, people who I already know, right? After a couple years, maybe 3 years actually, of like data to make decisions based off of, 60% of my closings were for sell by owner and expired related, and 40% of my closings were SOI related. So that for me was pretty telling. It's like, why am I spending 90% of my time to only get 60% of the results? So, and coming over here to KW helped me kind of shift my mindset around this. And I just reallocated all my time to more productive activities of networking with people who I already know, instead of hey, let's meet, I'd like to sell your house, like calling for sell by owners and expireds. So 20% of your actions leading to 80% of your results. Make sure you get dialed in on what your 20% is. For me, that's calling past clients and sphere of influence. I've got a schedule. Come into the office and I know who I'm going to call. That's much more productive than chasing. For me, maybe you guys are different. Maybe Isaiah is amazing with for sell by owners. I'm not saying don't do that. I'm saying find out what works best for you and tailor your approach for that. Move from the E to the P. E stands for an entrepreneurial approach. A lot of people are here in the real estate world have a very entrepreneurial mindset and way of going about things. With that, there's a natural ceiling of achievement when you're without the systems in place and you're just very, gung-ho, you're good with people. Now, if you can move from an entrepreneurial approach to a purposeful approach, according to this model, that's when you can really break through a ceiling and do great things with models and systems. So in other words, some really talented individuals, without the models and systems in place, they're never going to reach the highest levels of business until they get certain models and systems into place. And that's what KW is really great at, is the systems and models and all of those types of things. Any thoughts about this or any questions? There's a lot of great examples over here of people who have great systems in place. And the highest producing people, they're both it's the right combination of really naturally gifted people who have implemented the systems. Does that make sense? So just the right combo is like a really deadly weapon. And there's some really amazing personalities and behavioral styles and really funny, engaging people, that don't have systems, and they just don't get to where they could be going. So moving from the E to P. It's kind of hidden behind there, but it says make being learning-based foundation of your action plan. You guys are here, so that tells me you are learning-based people. Hopefully there's something to learn. Has anybody had an opportunity to go to any sort of any trainings outside of Ignite yet? No? Okay. And I can tell, Cammy, you were very learning based because you're taking like some serious notes on your iPad. That's great. Keller Williams Family Reunion is coming up in February. Maybe has anybody heard of that? It's like a big national convention. It's down this year. It's in Las Vegas. It's February 17th, I think. And so all of KW is gonna converge on Las Vegas, and there's gonna be 10, 12, 15,000 agents there in a huge convention center at the Mandalay Bay. And Gary Keller and all these people will be up on stage, and they'll break out into little, 100 different like breakout sessions over a few days. It's an amazing learning experience where top agents will pull back the curtain of their business and like give you all the nitty-gritty details of how they became successful. I would strongly encourage, if you can get to something like that, make the effort and the financial investment to do so, because it's an outstanding way to learn. I do think they have watch parties here, by the way, that of course you can just watch for free, some of the sessions, which is really good, although it's not quite the same as actually being there in person, if that makes sense. So, yeah, learning based is always good, right? I think I means constant and never ending must be hyphenated, improvement. Oh, there we go. Has anybody here ever had a limiting belief? You have? What did you do what did you do about it? You did? Did it work? That's cool. How did you know you needed to talk to somebody about this limiting belief?
Expecting the way that I live my life in a way that I didn't like.
Okay.
And, thankfully, I have a support system that I felt like a lot of people feel either unsafe to go to therapy, or like that means that they're broken or something bad. I like to look at it as so I played water volleyball in high school.
Water volleyball.
No, I played a lot.
A lot of volleyball. Okay.
And so like I like to look at it as like if you want to improve your game on the court, like you're gonna go to practice or you're gonna go talk to coaches. So it's like the therapist is like your coach that gives you tools to be a better player. And so like the therapist gives you tools to be a better person. And just give you cool skills. So yeah,
That's great. Anybody have a limiting that they're brave enough to share that you've ever dealt with? I do. A limiting belief I had early on in the business, like back in these days, was I have not earned the right to I have not earned it to work with my family and friends. Like there's no reason that they should trust me because I'm brand new. They know more about real estate than I do. Why would they hire me? I'm going to have to go convince people who don't know me that I'm something special or worth hiring. That's why I was doing for sale by owner and expired. Does that make sense? So going back to like the thoughts in our mind literally become our reality. And if that's what you're telling yourself, that I'm not worthy for these people who know me to hire me, then you're absolutely right. There's a couple people who have come into the office over the years. I don't think they're with the company anymore necessarily. That when they first showed up, or they're really not even in the business anymore, but when they first showed up, I think of two specific examples. They acted and thought that they were the best agent in the office. And it kind of bugged me, like they're just overconfidence. It was a little bit off-putting, to be honest. So like they just show up and they think they're they're all that. But it worked for them. And like, they just showed up with such an air of confidence about them that they literally in absolutely no time rose to the top or near the top of the office because they had no limiting beliefs. Like, they were so confident in themselves and who they are that they just literally straight near the top of the entire company. So when you unlimit your thinking, you unlimit your success. Limiting beliefs, I don't have time for that. I can't be successful in this market. I can't devote 3 hours each day to lead generation. You know, those thoughts in our mind that we're telling ourselves, we've got to get control of them because it's going to wreak havoc if we're not careful. You know, that voice inside our head that is telling us we're not good enough, we're not smart enough, we're not capable. You know, whatever that is, get it out of your head because that can literally wreck your business. Any other thoughts on this? Wish I could get this to disappear. There we go. Like this chart actually as well. I have this pinned up on at my desk because I like to get it every once in a while. It's like this accountability chart. The left side is victim status. The right side is accountability status. Being accountable with your business and the realities of your business and your life is going to take you a long way. Accountable people seek reality. They're real with themselves. Like, they don't, you know, we don't live in la land. They acknowledge reality, they own it. Accountable people find solutions and they take action on the solutions. Where victims, and we probably all know these type of people, they don't seek reality and they remain in ignorance. They fight reality, denial, they blame others, they make excuses, and they sit around hoping and praying that something is going to be happening in their business. If you want to reach the goals you've set for yourself and you're operating on the left side of this chart here, you can forget about hitting your goals because it's not going to happen. The only way you're going to hit your goals is to get really intentional with the accountable side of this chart. Anything jump out at you on this, Isaiah? Or anyone else?
If it is speed, then it's up to me.
Where's that at? That's right. I like that as well. What does that mean to you, Chris?
You gotta take responsibility for your business. You're gonna grow if you do it. Count on anybody else to bring it for you.
That's right. Does anyone, you guys know who he's author, social media guy, Jocko Willink is? Everybody know who that is? Navy SEAL. He writes books. It's got a book called Extreme Ownership. My favorite book I've ever read. It's all about it being accountable and accepting responsibility for my life, for my actions, for my business. If something's going wrong, like, I'm not passing the blame. I'm not, passing the buck to somebody else. I'm the leader. It's up to me. If you're looking for a good book to read, I'd strongly recommend that one. extreme owner. Willink, Willink, I believe. Jocko is like Jocko. Happiness is not an individual sport. What does that mean to you guys? What comes to mind? Yeah. Teamwork makes the dream work. This guy's an author, Sean Acor. He wrote a book. He was actually a keynote speaker at Keller Williams family reunion like 3 years ago, maybe. He wrote a book called The Happiness Advantage, if you've heard that. So happiness is not an individual sport. I did read the book, a couple concepts, if I can remember correctly. When you're facing a challenge or an obstacle or a trial in life, the research showed that when you keep that trial to yourself, the obstacle in your path looks and feels 30% larger than if you're going and talking to somebody about it, or engaging a partner or a spouse or a parent or a friend, or letting somebody in on this challenge you're facing. And you're going to find out real quickly that it might not be as big of a hurdle as what you think, like when you're just in your own head about it, if that makes sense. And I found this to be true. Any ahas from this section? Anything jump out at you? Sorry, I'm talking way too much. Cami.
I like the idea that like this is my business and I can make it as successful as I want. And like really I feel like there's really only like motivation and like positive that can come from that. I mean, obviously if you're trying to make a living, you gotta worry about it a little bit, but like all of these things that we've been talking about so far are just like ways to like get yourself pumped about it. I don't have limits. My only limiting factor is myself. So it's kind of like cool to think like I could make this as great as I want to.
Yeah. Totally.
The question about like your career,
Uh-huh.
how long did it take you to decide to like join a team or create a team? Did you go at it solo for a while?
This is a very slow bloomer, I guess is the best way to put that. So everybody's path looks different. And I worked really hard as a brand new agent, and the results were very, very mixed bag of results. So in 2007 is when I got started. You guys were not paying attention to the real estate market in 2007. You were probably kids. That's right. So in 2007, when I got started, the market was white hot, just like it was a couple years ago. So I was working at a job here in Provo. It was like a job for college. It was a great job for somebody in college. I was making $13 an hour. I think I was married and like we had a kid by this point in time. So I needed like something else. Like I'm done at UVSC by this point in time. I've got a degree. I'm still making $13 an hour. I'm like, real estate, like that could be cool. Like I might sell a house or two along the way. So I got started in real estate, and a friend encouraged me, who was already, he also left the job I was at, and he started selling real estate, so I kind of followed him maybe 6 months later. The market was still good. My first listing was my dead grandparents' house. Like my grandpa had recently passed away, so my mom and her siblings trusted me they were total guinea pig learning experience. Like they trusted me to list and sell the house. It was going over that paperwork, like the listing agreement, I just botched you can't imagine somebody botching anything worse than what I was. Like so nervous, so unprepared, unprofessional, scared, all of that rolled into one. That was me. But the market was hot and we got it sold. And then like a neighbor is like, hey, aren't you a real estate agent? Like, do you want to list my house? Like, sure. So I got 2 deals under my belt in the summer of 2007. So I don't know, maybe 8 or 10 grand, maybe something like that. Prices were like way lower back then, right? So I made a little bit of money and I'm like, oh, I got this. Like I'm gonna leave. I must have been working at the job and doing real estate on the side. It's like, all right, I'm gonna leave my full-time employment here, maybe just do weekends, like Saturday, Sunday type of thing, and I'll be selling real estate during the week. So I did that. In August of 2007, the market tanked. You might remember, I don't know, you guys are pretty young, so you weren't paying attention maybe so the market changed. And kind of like what we've been experiencing these past 2 years from the summer till today. And a lot of like the banks were closing, brokerages were closing, people were jumping out of the business, homes were not selling, and it got really, really tough. So I was not succeeding in real estate. So I decided my friends, like they're going out and knocking doors. So I was like way older than most people who are doing summer sales jobs in the 28. But I went out and did like a summer with, it's what is now called Vivint. They're Apex at the time. So that was really good sales experience for me and just like hard work. I came back with some money in the bank, which then funded the real estate learning curve over the next few years. So that's when the guy kind of took me under his wing. So I did two deals in year 1, like 1 deal in year 2, kind of part-time-ish, in and out, selling alarms, like, but in 2009, I came here. I probably did like 12 deals, then 16 deals. And by now, like 2011, 2012, like things are working out for me. I'm getting established. I'm like crushing it on for sale by owners and expireds. Not crushing it, but like surviving, like closing enough deals to put food on the table. We bought a house in 2010. So by 2012, Chris, so I guess 5 years in, I hired just an assistant, 35, 40 hours a week just to do all that 80% stuff, just so I could focus on the 20%. So she did everything and I was on the phone setting appointments and going on the appointments and, doing deals. Pretty soon, like the market started to turn in 2012 and like lighten up a little bit and prices started to come back a little bit. So those first 5 years, with the exception of the first 6 months when things were white hot, the market was tanking for 4.5 of those 5 years. So I was forced to learn like really good real estate habits, you might say, and just get like super dialed in on scripts, mindset, role playing every day, shouting affirmations every day, getting into the office at 7:30 so I could listings and for sale by owners by 8 a.m. like every day, almost without exception. So just like it required a really high level of discipline to survive, basically. So yeah, by 2012, things started to change, started growing the team a little bit. And it's been, I guess, 12 years of growth throughout the team, you might say. But it was about 30, when I was doing 25-ish deals, like on my own, that was when I like could afford to hire somebody and like really start growing. Does that answer your question? That was way more of an answer than what you were looking for, sorry. But everybody up here who is successful, everybody's journey looks a little bit different, you know. KW culture. Like there's like a whole world of culture at KW. Have you guys figured this out? Yeah. Like there's so much stuff involved with being at KW that just doesn't exist at other brokerages. Which is a great thing, right? I'm not gonna get too far into this. Just know, like, did anybody come here because of the culture? No. Some people want to know that I'm aligning myself with something bigger than just simply selling houses. Let me hit a couple highlights on here. Red Day in the spring. Whole company, like nationwide, takes the day off of work and we do like this huge service project, which is really cool. And we kind of pat ourselves on the back about it and try to get on the news with it and that type of stuff for good PR, but it really is a great day of just like serving in the community and showing our people that we're more than just selling houses. KW Cares, that's another big one. It's a 501c3 nonprofit organization that you can donate money to, and it goes to, like most recently, Hurricane Ian or Helene or whatever those hurricanes were named. There's always natural disasters, or even locally, KW Cares money goes to agents here locally as well to support them in times of need. When somebody's falling on a particularly hard times, KW Cares money is available for them to, you know, as a hand up, like help them get through whatever it is that they're going through. And a whole bunch of other things here that I'm not particularly well versed on. So great culture, great people, great training. That's kind of what KW is known for. MVVBP, can't remember what that is. There's a ton of acronyms. Well, if you have, oh, there we go. Mission, values, vision, values, beliefs, perspective. This is like our mission statement at KW. Anybody care to read this for us? Chris?
For having businesses worth owning, lives worth living, experience worth giving, and legacies.
I like it. Thank you. So that was our mission statement. This is our belief system. We actually have like a big sticker sticker on the wall of our Mapleton building of this on the wall. This is our belief system. It's often referred to as Y4C2T. Oh, they just added, the world went woke a couple years ago. We had to add this one in here. So this is the newest addition to the Y4C2Ts. Win-win or no deal. I'm a huge believer in that. Like if you're having to do things or say things on a transaction that aren't true, or that is not a real scenario just to get a deal across the finish line, like that's not who KW is. Like we're not interested in closing deals that way. Integrity, doing the right thing. That includes like how we're working and, communicating with cooperating agents. Of course, customers come first, equipment and all things, communication. Seek first to understand. Creativity, ideas before results, teamwork, trust, equity, opportunities for all, and success results through people. Real estate is an equal opportunity venture. The sky is the limit for what you can do. It just depends on how bad you want it and what you're willing to sacrifice to make it happen. Here's a little bit more about Red Day and KW Cares, which we already spoke on both of those. All right, that was KW culture. Let's moving on. I think we're making good time here to KW value, market center value. Keller Williams, it's the largest global real estate franchise. That's why we get named in all these lawsuits, because like there's KW has money, right? So anytime one of these people locally or nationally, they're suing somebody, like we're always right in their crosshairs. Top franchise for veterans, top female friendly company, all sorts of awards here. America's best employers for women and new grads. Best employers for diversity 2021. A lot of smaller brokerages. Did anybody expect other brokerages to interview with before you came here? Because you knew you were coming here. I have friends who are brokers of like, mom and pop shops or other. They're like, yeah, they'll often tell people they don't want to train new agents. So it's kind of like, go to KW, get trained up, and then come talk to me. Like even our competition knows like this is the ultimate real estate training organization because of stuff like this. There's so many systems and models and trainings built out that other companies just don't even scratch the surface with. We're doing Ignite right now. There's something called MAPS coaching. That's a coaching program. I actually am involved with MAPS coaching. I have a coach. He's based out of Austin, Texas, and he coaches myself and the director of sales on our team. So we jump on 45-minute Zoom call with him 3 times a month, and like he's like our right-hand guy and just incredibly helpful. What's that? Mega Camp. These are the 2 yearly conventions. So Mega Camp is in September, and Family Reunion is always in February, just like right after Thanksgiving. A Family Reunion, since it's cold, it kind of rotates between 5 or 6, semi-warm town or cities in February. So it's Vegas, Dallas, Orlando, New Orleans, Anaheim, kind of rotates through cities like that. So at 15-ish years at KW, I've probably been to Mega Camp a handful of times, 3, and that's always in Austin. I've been to Family Reunion, I don't know, this February might be my 8th time or 10th time. I really don't know. So really similar idea. They're quite similar. Yeah, and of course we're doing Ignite right now. So we've got this technology platform, it's called Command. Has anybody jumped into Command at all? What have you learned about Command, Cami?
I like that there's like lots of options for like, kind of doing like setting up email flows, like kind of starting your CRM a little bit. I mostly played around with just like kind of getting familiar with the site, but not necessarily like entering anything specifically yet, but it seems like it's a pretty organized way that has all the information that you need in order to
Yeah.
keep track of.
Command is a lot of things. The most important thing in my mind is just this, it's the CRM, client relationship management aspect of Command, where you're housing your database and you're communicating with your database in a systematized way. When I was in the business, I didn't have a database. Like I literally used like sticky notes and like a big, and I had a cubicle. I had like a big calendar, like a monthly calendar from a title company. And I just like write important things on that desktop calendar. Like that and my sticky notes was my database. It was incredibly inefficient. And once a competing title company came through with like their calendar and they saw another title company's calendar on my desk. So he's like, I got to give Dan like our calendar. So he took my old calendar, threw it in the trash. I'm like, I got my names on there. Like, so I had to go like digging through trash. I found it like just around the corner from my cubicle. But like horrible way to manage, your database, right? You've got to get it systematized in Command or something else so you can communicate with your people and create that top of mind awareness that when they think of real estate, that they're thinking of me, right? And Command is also like the platform through which you submit a file to compliance review and getting paid through Command. There's a KW app. I honestly don't know much about it. Is anybody set up on the KW app? Like, do you have a website or anything? Okay. Where your people can download it, or I think we all have a site. Okay. And they can probably for homes as well, I believe. And here is. Okay, got it. For me, most of the tools and stuff I have in place like predates Command. So I've just never like I've never abandoned them for the all-in-one solution that Command is. So there's a lot of trainings here in the office that can get you dialed in with Command. Here's some math. And I don't know, might be Command, but this is basically working backwards with kind of what we discussed a little bit ago, like what are your goals? Close GCI's gross commissioned income. And so this is a little worksheet, I guess, to maybe help you get to where you want to be. This is something that can be a little hard to understand, like who is who at an office. So this is what the leadership team looks like. OP is, I think it's operating principal or partner. They are chiefly responsible for running the company. That's Johnny Christensen is as the KWOP and he owns the company. Anybody here know Johnny? I'm not sure he's up on this wall. Probably not. He hasn't sold a house in forever. So this guy right here, anybody know this guy, Clay? So Clay and his business partner, Johnny Christensen, they own the majority of Keller Williams Westfield. And they're partners on the Red Sign team. If you guys heard of the Red Sign team, maybe. So they started the Red Sign team, like they got it started about the same time as me back in 2017. So Clay is involved with the day-to-day operations of that team. And but Johnny is more in the OP role of the entire company. So they have hired a team leader. You guys know who the team leader is here? Shoni Ivins. So he is like the CEO of KW Westfield, and he is hired to run the company. He's assistant team. Is there an assistant team leader currently? I'm not sure that there is. MCA, Market Center Administrator. Anybody here met Nova Lee? Yeah? Okay. She's like the brains of this place that would absolutely fall apart without her. She keeps this place running. She's up on the top floor. She's like she runs the accounting, and she just really makes the place go. Technology trainer, that's going to be Hunter. You guys all know Hunter, right? And then it's not listed here, but like productivity coach Cameron, like he's part of the KW team as well. And then we've got something called Agent Leadership Council. There's like 5 or 6 ALC committees, like a retention committee, an education committee, like a few different cares committee, which does Red Day. So it's kind of just a council of 5 or 6 agents who are in charge of committees to help run the office. There's something called profit shares. Anybody familiar with profit share, or was that in any way, shape, or form one of the reasons why you came to KW? Anybody familiar with that at all? So you all have a sponsor who you identified as that person being primarily responsible for you choosing to come to KW. So when you sell a house and the company makes money that month, your sponsor is going to get a little slice of the pie. So it's called profit share. When the company is profitable, they are sharing a portion of those profits with the agents who help grow the company. So as you're here over some time, and people might look to you, Isaiah, as, oh, I want to go to KW. Isaiah's killing. I'm going to go over there and do what he's doing. And like, you're going to attract people to the company, and then you can make a little bit of money or a lot of money to help grow the company. I've got a little profit share tree going on, and it kind of the tree got cut down a couple years back when a large group of the people who I brought to the company decided to go elsewhere. But like at the peak of it, I was making, I don't know, like $3,500 in profit share each year, which was not bad. Like I just brought my friend over and he brought his team, and like I've attracted other people over 15 years to the company who are still here and earning money for the company, and I get paid a little bit off it. So that's the profit share model. You have no financial risk, you have no legal risk. It requires no upfront investment. You don't have to cold call to make it happen, although I suppose you could. And it's just a great way to come from contribution, share KW's value proposition with your friends, and naturally they might want to follow you because when they see you being successful, right? Any thoughts or questions about profit share? It's good. I wouldn't get too hung up on it. Like some people literally like make their entire business model around recruiting. I'd rather just sell houses. You can make a lot more money, right? But some people legitimately do earn a lot of money through profit share, especially if like you started at KW way early and in like the 90s or something, and you started like you were the first person, like there's a whole region or something like that. Like some of those people are making thousands or millions of dollars a year for sure on profit share. But it can take a lot of effort as well to make it grow. Okay. Where are we at next? So there's like some kind of like satellite companies surrounding Keller Williams. Keller Mortgage. Honestly, this probably hasn't been updated. I think a couple of these have folded shop. Like Keller Mortgage, I don't think exists anymore. And I'm sure several of these. It's a distraction. Don't worry about stuff like this. Worry about my database and how am I creating relationships and nurturing these relationships, creating that top of mind awareness. So when people think of real estate, that they think of me. Yeah, maybe later on when we're super established, you can start, paying more attention to this, but you, as a brand new agent, like this is totally outside of the scope of where your focus should be, right? There's a few like designations within Keller Williams. Couple that I do know a little bit about, KW Commercial. Like there's a few oh, there's Johnny right there. He is up there in the Moore Club. That's great. So there are a couple commercial specific agents up here. So like I personally don't deal with commercial. Like I don't want to botch a commercial deal and like have somebody feeling like, oh, he's not an expert in what I've hired him to do, right? So I just don't even want to go there. This guy does quite a bit of commercial, Bart Anthony. Guy, Randy Park, he's longtime commercial agent, absolutely knows what he's doing. I send all referrals or leads to Randy just because like he's better at that. I'm just looking for houses. There's KW Luxury, where if you are an agent who has done X amount of $1 million+ deals, you can be like a KW Luxury agent, which is just a nationwide, company-wide network of luxury agents. They're probably passing luxury referrals to each other. You've demonstrated an understanding of doing luxury homes, etc. KW Sports and Entertainment, that's kind of a newer thing on the past year or two. Like, for example, in the college athletics world, it is now college athletes are now able to make money on their name, image, and likeness, for example. So there's people up here who do, let's see, where's Carl at? This guy right here, Carl Spencer, he's like, has contracts with BYU and he's always sponsoring stuff and on the games. And he's got, he's some sort of contract with BYU athletics and like sponsoring specific athletes and doing stuff. So just another kind of avenue, I guess, of networking. Your career vision, get into more important stuff here. We actually did this yesterday at our team meeting. We were talking about just the power of the mind and what you think is what you become. And so we wrote a letter to ourselves, everybody on our team, and I'm hanging on to that. And then I'm gonna stick it in the mail in a year from now. And then everybody on my team is gonna get a letter from themselves that they had written, a year ago. Basically, they wrote a letter to themselves of what their life is gonna look like 1 year from now. I've done this a couple times actually. And it's been really striking each time. So I get a letter in the mail, I'm like, what is it? That's my handwriting. I'm like, oh, that's that thing we did a year ago. And so I pulled it out and read it, and the things I had written, I was not like shooting for the stars on any of it necessarily. But it was so remarkable because everything I had written actually happened in real life. And that was the power of intentionality, and just what you think about ultimately becomes your reality. So this is just an exercise you might choose to do if you want to do something like that. Write out some goals, or write out some, just plan what your life is going to look like. Be intentional behind your business and taking responsibility for what your life is looking like. If you're not writing these down, having an intentional emotion behind what you're doing, then like, what even are you doing? Are you getting serious about setting goals and taking the actions required to hit your goals? Or once again, are you just kind of flowing along, just going with the breeze? If you are, my best advice would be get out of the business now if you're not willing to treat this with at the level required to be successful. The blood, sweat, and tears to become successful and to earn the right to be the trusted real estate agent of choice for the people who know you. It's a lot of work, and very, very rewarding. What do you see in here? This might be, if you were to make $364,000, like, what would that look like? This is just a little exercise to go through, or fill in the blank number. Maybe it's $64,000 in year one, right? Like, what does that look like? To achieve success, you need motivation and inspiration for doing it your big why. Everybody needs a big why to get them out of bed in the morning, to connect your why to the goal to which you are working towards. So when the going gets tough, that you can get recentered and refocused on what my why is, right? Has anybody taken any time to write out or come up with a big why? Maybe that's a new term for you.
Want my wife not to have to work.
You want your wife to not work? That's great. What? Why is that important to you?
Just for, like, kids and stuff, and be tried to have her. She around, take care of them. She doesn't want to work, so try to support that.
That's cool. My wife doesn't have to work, but she does. I can't get her to stop. But it's great. I'm glad that she works. And did you mention kids? Well, you will someday. That's a lot more work than doing real estate for the person who is at home with the kids. And it's very important work. Okay, yeah, big why. I'd strongly recommend come up with the big why. Why am I in this business? Why am I even working towards these goals? Why is this important to me? All the most successful people have a very strong connection between their big why and what their goals are. Got to get rock solid about that. You've got to have some clarity about how, like, where does the money go? Some people might see, oh, that's a $15,000 percentage. My agent just got $15,000. Well, not quite. Okay, so this has kind of changed a little bit in the past couple of months. So we used to charge one commission rate. And I would, if there was a buy, we'll say 5%. If the buyer's agent, if the buyers have an agent, I'm sharing half, we'll use half. I'm giving 2.5% to the buyer's agent. If they don't have an agent, I'll just keep all 5%. That's how it worked until August 17th. You guys are aware that some changes have happened around this? Is this ringing a bell at all? So now I'm not charging a 5% commission to the seller and giving half of it to the buyer. I'm charging the listing brokerage commission. And then if they want a buyer brokerage commission on there, that's also being agreed to on the listing paperwork. It does not have to be half. It could be zero. Like, you can offer zero to the buyer's agent, and then the buyers are on the hook to pay the agent. Like, everything is fully negotiable. It's probably stuff like this that got us in trouble in the first place, right? Like, so it's not a given that half of the commission goes to the other agent. Market center probably takes a slice of the pie. You've got some business expenses. You've got some payroll taxes or some income taxes and some state 5% to the state taxes, and everybody's got their hand in your pocket, especially around a real estate commission for realtors who get paid a ton. Everybody wants a slice of the pie. Plus, it just simply costs money to run a business, to do the communication, to do the client events, to acquire, like, just client acquisition. It costs money. With the exception of this, like, why was I doing this in the beginning? It costs zero money. Whatever the cost of operating, we used to have landlines in the office. Like, didn't even call from my cell phone. Called from the office phones. It cost, like, the cost of buying the leads, $60 a month. That's how much this costs. That's why it's really attractive for me at that point in time. Now it costs $10,000 to $15,000 a month to run my team. But I mean, when you just do it right, and you can get there, and it makes sense, just making good business decisions. But yeah, I mean, it costs money to acquire a deal. So yeah, the total commission might be 6%, but what you end up with in your pocket at the end of the day, like, you got to be prepared. Working with a tax professional, setting up an S corp or an LLC. Like, these are things you want to be aware of and get straightened out just to get on the right path with how things are structured. Getting a business checking account. Not spending your own personal money on the business, right? Get a business checking, so all the expenses can be tracked and tax deductible, right? You don't want to do it from your personal checking account. And I can smell like the stink of the furnace, but it's still freezing. My hands are still like ice cubes. Okay, let's do this. Let's do this example. So everybody has something to write with or use a phone or something. Come up with let's set up some goals and work backward. Let's come up with your net income goal. This is using $100,000. Pick something else. Like, what to you, like, maybe you already have a goal. Maybe this is the first time you're thinking about a goal, and that's totally okay. Like, what is a goal for what you want to make in 2025 from January 1st through December 31st of next year? What is an income goal that you want to make in 2025? So the company dollar and royalty cap is here at KW Westfield is not $30,000. What is it? Anybody know? 18. It's 18K. So on your second line, use $18,000. Business expenses. How much do you plan on spending on your business in 2025? Like, business expenses as in renting an office space or a cubicle, buying leads, buying for sell by owner leads, doing social media, boosting ads on social media, doing a client event, doing a spring pop by to your database and dropping a little gift off. You know, sponsorships, advertising, like, what am I spending? What am I projected to spend on business expenses in 2025? Do you guys have do you have something written down there? Okay, so add those 3 lines. Your net income goal, the company split, and your estimated business expenses. So you should get line D, which is your approximate total GCI number that you're going to need. Do you guys have a number here for line D?
Average per expense. Yeah, sure, at the beginning, like, roughly 1.3 for sale by owners, so was that all we did the first year?
Basically, yeah.
On like, people do spend on the roller. So it kind of depends on how you do it.
Wow, that's high.
Like if they do events or things like that. But like, I think getting started, I feel like 5K, at least my personal.
Per deal?
Oh, my business expenses for the,
Oh, okay.
like my personal is like, I'm starting with around 5K just because that's. what you get.
That feels pretty reasonable.
I even like, I went through an Excel sheet and I listed out, like, I used ChatGPT to like tell me, what are all the things that like real estate we should spend money on? And then I kind of went through like how much I would want to spend in each of those areas, like marketing myself, like buying like signs for your yard, like gas potentially.
Yeah, yep.
Like buying new clothes or like things like work attire, things like that. I just kind of put that all in 5K. It was kind of like that. But mine's, I think mine's more than minimal.
Here are some of my expense categories. Payroll. Okay. Red X, so leads for sell by owner and expired leads. Running like hosting the domain on my website. Google ads, yes. Just the pay-per-click for our website. You know, $1,500 a month there. Events. Closing gifts. Signage, yeah, buying signs and signposts, business cards, social media, monthly expense, listing photography, team photography, the email platform, golf/networking, Zoom, Google Business Suite, the CRM we use, Dropbox is an expense,
Classes.
education, yeah. So in 2023, total expenses for my team to run my team is $177,000. That there's, yeah. What's 177 divided by 12? So 14,750 a month. Obviously I've built up to that, right? And when you're closing 80 to 100 deals as a team a year, like that's completely reasonable. There's one team, they're spending, I've heard this from multiple reliable sources, $250,000 per month on Zillow leads. 250,000 a month. And hopefully they're closing a heck of a lot of deals off it. But they're just driving the price up for it. It's, yeah, anyways. Okay, so average commission. Anybody have an idea of what an average sales price is?
535.
Yeah, right around there. About 535K is probably the median home value in Utah right now, somewhere.
It was 18.
Okay. And what do you think like the average rate of commission would be? I wish. No. So I'm one side, yeah.
Like,
probably. So last year as a team for us, this varies depending on, a number of things, but our average listing commission last year as a team was 2.18% when we repped the seller. Average buyer commission was 2.68. So 2.4 probably. So what is 535 times 2.4%? $535,000 times 2.4%.
uh, 12, 8.
12,800. So divide line D by line E. And that should give you the number of deals you need to close in order to make. Okay, and we're just using like Utah averages, and we just randomly picked my team's average of 2.4. So maybe yours is 3. Maybe you do things at a hefty discount, and that's your value proposition, and you're getting 1% on deals. I don't know. Cami, what number did you come up with for line F? If you're there, okay. So you need to close 8 deals with those like general average type of numbers in order to hit your net income goal. Chris, what was yours? 11, Isaiah?
Just have a goal of 12 to 13. I don't really care what that looks like.
Okay. So you're more focused on, I'm gonna do, is it 12 or is it 15?
It's just,
12. And that whatever the income ends up being, it is,
12 transactions with house prices the way they are now, even if they come down a little bit, I could honestly probably double the. So I'd have it there.
that'd be huge.
Yeah.
The more granular you can get on this, and like specific, I keep repeating myself, written down goals in a place where you see it and it's meaningful for you, the more likely you're going to become to like that's going to become the reality. So right, and maybe we're just doing some like back of the napkin type of numbers here. I would strongly encourage you to take this a little further and a little more in depth and some more meaningful before you put the finishing touches on like this goal of yourself for 2025. Spend a little more time developing this possibly to make sure that like that's the goal that you want to have for yourself in 2025.
Roadmap Canvas has something you can just plug in the number.
Okay. Any ahas as we've gone through this exercise? What's jumped out at you?
Realize you can spend $250,000 on dealer leads. So right now. It's a lot.
Yep. All right, last section, hopefully. Are you guys tracking numbers with Cameron at all? Like this? Maybe haven't quite gotten there. The more of the numbers you track, the easier it becomes for you to know how many numbers you need to close a deal. For example, so I have several years worth of numbers tracked to go off of. I have this written on my whiteboard in the office. So I know how many deals I close in a year, how many contacts I make, how many phone conversations I have. We've got it down to how many dials do I need to make in order to set an appointment? How many appointments do I need to attend to get a listing or a buyer signed? And then how many buyers signed do I need on average to close a deal? So I've got that worked, funneled clear down to how many calls or how many dials do I need to make in order to close a deal. When you're 2 weeks in, you have no data to go off of, you just simply have no idea. But as you track things and you're tracking conversations had, contacts added, appointments set, agreements signed, and closings, like what are my key performance indicators, the KPIs, like the tracking numbers that have the most impact on closed deals. And so the more of this you track, the easier it is to know, all right, I need to go on X amount of appointments, I need to have X amount of conversations or whatever to close a deal. And the more intentionality you have behind that and tracking and measuring, the quicker you're going to get to where you want to go. Disclaimers here. This is cover your butt type stuff. Don't call people on the do not call list. KW doesn't want to be responsible for you calling the wrong person and getting fined. Powerful conversations get results. Let's talk about this. Oops. The best salespeople ask the best questions. Like when you're on the phone, the best way to get into rapport with them and to uncover their motivations, is it to educate them and talk at them and tell them, show them how much you know and prove to them how much you know? No. Asking them the right questions to get them talking, right? Like what's important to you about staying in Vineyard? No, oh, I love Vineyard. I know so much about Vineyard. Like they're doing this and they're doing that and the rail and the trains. No. What's important to you and your family about Vineyard? How is that? How is making sure your kids stay at Freedom Prep Academy? Like, how's that? Why is that important to you guys? Tell me more about that. That's cool. Be genuinely curious of what's important to them as you're doing your lead generation, not trying to impress them with how much you know or what you learned in that CE class or from that Ignite class. Does that make sense? We have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Especially real estate agents tend to talk. Stop talking so much. And the irony is not lost on me because I've been talking at you for 90 minutes now. But when you're doing your lead gen, ask good questions. Write down a list of compelling questions if you need to have prepared as you're doing as you're making your calls and going through your database or whatever your lead gen looks like. Maybe it's social media and that's how you're connecting with them. I don't know. I see you admiring that big screen TV. Are you looking to get one for the big game this weekend? That's funny. Okay, SOI. Is that something you've heard of, sphere of influence? Sometimes people will call it METs, like a MET database. Like I know these people. Like my team's definition of SOI is they know me, they like me, they trust me, and they would call me about real estate. That person in my SOI, am I the only realtor they know? No, they know 5 to 10 other realtors. Do you think those 5 or 10 other realtors are calling them and checking in regularly to discuss real estate? No. So you've got to, like, this is the main thing of anything. If you take away, get your people dialed in to your sphere of influence, all housed in one place in command. If that's where it should be. On average, people are staying in a house from 7 to 10 years, right? Right place, right time, creating that top of mind awareness. When they think of real estate and, oh shoot, we've got to move, that they think of Isaiah. that they think of Cami, that they think of Chris, like creating that top of mind awareness to get yourself to the top of their list of realtors. Because they know other realtors. You've got to communicate with them, feed the database, and help them understand that you're their best bet to get the job done. People, this is a big thing for people. Like if you polled all these people here and said, when was the last time you sat down and called your sphere? Like, people are not calling their sphere very regularly at all. So it's that because and one of the main things they're afraid, they think they're going to be bugging them is what I hear. I don't want to bug them. So this is just like a suggested method of framing the conversation in a way where you call and check in with them and it's not weird. Okay. Hey, how's your family doing? You guys doing anything? Did you have a good Halloween? How was fall break for you? You doing anything for Christmas? Like, how's work going? You liking the new job? Getting plenty of client? Like, you're asking them. You guys doing any traveling for the holiday? Recreation. So the acronym FORD: family, occupation, recreation, dreams. I skip the dreams. I just think it's weird. Honey, Dan Kennedy called me. He's like, what are your dreams? Like, that's just weird. So yeah, four is plenty for me. I don't need to go all the way. So but yeah, that's really similar to the calls I make. Hey, it's Dan. Hope everything is well with you. A lot of our clients and friends are having questions about some of the changes we've been seeing in the real estate market this year. I wanted to check in with you, find out what's been on your mind, and what do we need to catch you up about on the real estate market. It's so easy. It's non-threatening. It's coming from contribution. And the call is not awkward. So the agents who are saying, I'm not telling themselves, like, that's one of those limiting beliefs. Like, they don't want to hear from me, or I'm going to be bugging them. Well, then don't call them, and I'll call them and I'll sell them a house. You've got to create that top of mind awareness. And it's not going to be done through email. It's not going to be done 100% effectively through social media. It's got to be cemented by actually picking up the phone and connecting with them. Don't fear your sphere. Any ahas about this section? Has anybody made a lead gen call to their sphere yet? And said, hey, it's me. I'm a realtor. I'm here for you. Like, anything like that? When are you going to get started?
Start working on today.
Cool. Yeah, sooner the better. Send them a letter. Do it. Write up a nice letter. Hey, this is me. Cameron probably has these type of resources. I'm at Keller Williams. I'm so excited. Like, this is like, I'm excited about this and I appreciate your support. I'm looking forward to connecting with you about real estate. Send that out. Yes, that's an expense. Yeah, $1 a piece, and follow that up 7 days later with a phone call, something like that. Got to create that top of mind awareness. Okay, we're about done. Prepare for your next session, section 2, which is embrace your job. looks like that's it. Anything off the script or the slides that you want to talk about?
If you want us. to.
Yeah, there's my cell. 801-358-0745. Always happy to chat, always happy for you to call with questions, bounce ideas off me. Stop by and visit us when you're in Mapleton and you need to, you know, you've got a half hour but before your appointment starts or you're the showing or whatever. I'm here once in a while. I live in Spanish Fork. Yeah, always happy to chat and pitch in to help you out any way I can. Anything else?
The generation, we're supposed to take like one thing and grind on that, work on it and see how it works for us. And then if it does work, keep doing that or switch it up. Has your team had much experience with like circle prospecting? Said that they usually move like every 7 to 10 years. Good idea to look up neighborhoods that were built around 7 to 10 years ago and reach out to all of them. That's that.